Eccoci qua. Sono veramente contento che siate qui con me oggi. Anche oggi, mattina, pomeriggio, sera, notte. Dai, facciamo partire i secondi. Mi stai guardando? Ma mi stai ascoltando? Devi seguirmi. Ti vedo, eh? Adesso li faccio ripartire quando sei più attento. Metti giù il telefono e guarda tranquillamente questa chiacchierata. Secondo me ti diverti. Viviamo il presente. E nel caso non dovessimo più vederci, buon pomeriggio, buonasera e buonanotte. Eccoci qua. Good afternoon, Austin. Good afternoon, Catherine.
Good afternoon.
Hi.
How are you?
Oh, pretty good. It's a nice 21 degrees Celsius here in Edmonton, Alberta, Canada, in the north of Alberta, Canada, Western Canada. So it's a very nice day.
What day is today?
What day is today? Today is Friday.
The 4th of July.
The 4th of July for our American friends.
Yeah. Here it's 9:07 p.m. and here there is 30 degrees.
Yes, but you're in Italy.
And this is the interview number 1383 from the start, from the beginning, and then number 88 from the 1st of 2025. So how do we know? How do we meet?
Well, we met through Kamal Yalidrian, one of my friends in Istanbul. He recommended I talk to you and get interviewed by you because we wanted to. We're trying to reach out from my charity to various other nations in the world, and you are our Italian contact. So you're it. You're. But we have been to Italy. We met Pope Francis.
Yeah,
and we had a personal audience with Pope Francis.
I see the photos. I never meet like you to keep his hand, but I make the photo to him and when he come in Bologna, and I sell him and he send me a letter to appreciate the photo I sent him.
Yeah, Pope Francis was very. A lot of popes are like diplomats or philosophy professors, but Pope Francis was well educated and intelligent, but he was very pastoral. He was like a parish priest. You know, he was different than the usual. Like he was different than Ratzinger.
Yeah.
Pope Benedict. And
so who is Austin and who is Catherine Mardon in one word?
Crazy. For me. How she
long-suffering.
Long-suffering. She's long-suffering. I'm quite crazy. Like, although you know, like I'm a taste that needs to be acquired.
And one word for both.
A power couple.
Catherine tell yes, it is true.
Yes, partnership.
It is difficult to be to work to be a couple, to make family in this period, and to be affiatato. Wait a moment, because my vocabulary is not so complete like yours.
Well, you know, the thing is that, our dog is just below us, we have a basset hound.
Glove.
Basset hound is trying to knock over the table.
Mm-hmm.
She's gone over. Anyways, my wife's had 30 years of having basset hounds. They have very big sense of humor. And I think that ultimately I take every article, every research article, and I look at it as a happy event. A lot of people, a lot of academics look at what they do as very laborious and boring and not exciting. But I try to imbue in the students I have and volunteers how academics and research is very exciting and can be like, you feel like you're participating in an endeavor that's beyond yourself. And we advocate for the mentally ill, and we've done various things. We're always doing things, and we can switch from advocating for somebody to get better support as a schizophrenic to talking with an academic about physics in Africa or something.
Mm-hmm. And how do you meet Catherine, and how Catherine want to go choose this way?
She picked me.
Yeah, we actually met online.
Before it was fashionable.
Yeah.
Now everybody that's young meets online. But when we met, it was very scandalous.
Yeah.
It was very scandalous. People were very...
It's been 20 years ago this month that we met.
Yeah.
Good. And about, tell me something, Austin, about your study, so you can share to all people who listen as what is your kind of study, and also later we speak about the book of Catherine.
Yeah, and so basically my study started in geography. I was trained as a geographer, cultural human geographer, and everything came from that in my research. So everything is indirectly or directly tied to that. My interest in other cultures, my interest in joining other nations' Academy of Sciences, as I look outwards to other parts of the world, and even my space science was related to geography. It's like the geography of outer space. And meteorites were tied in, even though that would seem to be planetary science or geology, because it helps man explore the Mars, be an explorer. It's like a poor man's space probe. And I'm known for two basic things about it. One is the Antarctic, and the other is my work with schizophrenics. And I take a lot of my knowledge about culture and apply it to how to help people with schizophrenia and serious mental illnesses.
And how is wait a second, how is difficult and how is rewarding to work and study people with schizophrenia?
Well, it's very rewarding. As a person that I suffered from it, I developed it after Antarctica. Back in '91, I had my collapse. And I had to do something. So, because everybody said, your life is over, you're finished. Everything was finished. I was going to die shortly. And so instead of that, I started volunteering. And I kept doing research. I kept acting like a professor, even though I wasn't paid to be. So eventually I became a professor and became a member of the Academy of Sciences in Canada, the Royal Society of Canada, because I just kept publishing. I published more papers than some full professors, many full professors. but they were all done for cheap. I didn't pay the large fees you pay to publish, so I published it odd places, and I've given about 1,000 talks, and advocate for schizophrenia, and try to help people. Yeah. Basically, I find that I help myself by helping people. And we went from helping people with schizophrenia to helping students understand mental illness, and many of them have gone into research in mental health or become doctors or PhDs or helping homeless.
Also, because I think when you choose this way, you know that it is for all the life. You must study and you must learn to the other people.
Yeah, and it's not a job. Whereas, like, I don't view it as, there could be two things you do: an avocation or vocation, like a vocation for the priesthood.
Yeah,
and I look at it very religiously that it's like my vocation to help people with schizophrenia and do research and stuff. So I'm always doing it. It's not like stop. I'm not going to stop when I get 70 or 80 or 90. I'm going to keep doing it because it's inherently part of me and I get satisfaction from it. I wish I had got some monetary satisfaction, but I had enough to survive on, and that's what's important. And now basically, I'm in a situation. Did you ever see the movie A Beautiful Mind? The movie A Beautiful Mind with Russell Crowe about the Nobel Prize winner that got schizophrenia. Well, anyways, he turned in 1992 when he got the Nobel Peace Prize, Nobel Prize in Economics. He got that, and all of a sudden, doors were opening up to him, and he decided that he was going to spend the rest of his life doing research. And eventually, when he was 89, he got the Kavli Prize, which is above the Nobel Peace Prize and the Nobel Prizes. And he got it for all the research he did since 91 onwards. So when everybody else was retiring, everybody said, "You're crazy, John. Why didn't you retire?" And he said, "Well, I've been doing nothing for 30 years, and now it's my time to work." But he didn't do it for pay. He did it because he loved it, because it satisfied something inside him. And that's what I try to inculcate with our student volunteers, to do things that actually, instead of just doing things for money, try to do things because they're intrinsically worthwhile, because you'll be able to sustain a lot more punishment and you won't be as sick or get as sick if you do things that give you bliss and joy than if you just, do it for money and then each day end at 4:30. I don't end at 4:30. Do I end at 4:30, Catherine?
No, and neither does your secretary.
Yeah, she says she's the secretary. Like this morning, I was talking with somebody in Nepal at 6:30 in the morning, and in Ukraine at 7 o'clock, and in Nairobi at 7:30. And then again, I talked to the guy in Ukraine. He just texted me, and so like I'm not paid to do this. And a lot of people, like I've even had priests and bishops think, "Oh well, you get such large grants, Austin. You must be earning money." I say, "Well, I don't earn any money. All the money goes directly to the students. There's no soft money." And they say, "What?" I actually sometimes have to pay to do the research and do the supervise the students. But I am crazy, so
Not so much.
Maybe not so much, but crazy like a fox.
Catherine, what about Austin for your point of view, and what about your book?
Well, when we first met, he was afraid to tell me that he had schizophrenia. And eventually he got to the point where he figured that he was probably going to have to tell me. So I was surprised. And then I said, are you on your meds or are you going to stay on your meds? And he said, yeah. And I said, okay, well, then it's no big deal. At which point he thought there was something wrong with me.
I thought she was stupid.
What he didn't know at the time is that I had probably at least 100 clients in my former law practice who had serious mental illnesses, including some that were sitting on death row in the United States. So the illness itself, the word itself, did not scare me.
Not taking the meds scares you.
Well, you stop taking your meds and I'm just going to have you,
incarcerated.
Yeah.
Although the doctors want to stop me. I've been so compliant and cooperative for so long, 35 years, that now they say, oh, well, you never had it. I mean, it's ridiculous. Like, I don't know. Sometimes I don't know about doctors.
It's almost like he gets a new doctor and they want to do something different just to think that they're doing something, And
he also
I have the ability to separate the person from the illness. And so when he has breakthrough symptoms, they don't scare me. Because I know that's not Austin, that's the illness. I get mad at the illness, not at him. And the only thing I really expect from him is, I've told him many times, is just to be as healthy and as happy as he's capable of. And he does that by his stuff, talking to people all over the world and at all hours of the day and night.
Yeah, like last night I got a phone call from, where did I get that phone call from?
I don't know.
It was from Africa. I got a phone call at 2:30 in the morning from Nairobi, Kenya. And like she said, what time is it there after she phoned? It's at 2:30 in the morning. She said, sorry.
It's not a normal marriage in that, he doesn't get up and put a tie on and go to work from 9 to 5 and stuff. But I'd like to think that we make a very good team together.
What about your book?
Oh, my book.
He asked you a couple of times.
We start from the title.
Curveballs. I think we'd been married about a year, and every time I met somebody new, they would ask me if I had schizophrenia, and I would say, no, I don't. And later I found out that the ones who didn't ask just assumed I had it. Everyone seemed to be extremely curious about me. And then I slipped on the ice and hurt my knee. And so I was kind of laid up for a while. So I just started writing this book. And at the time, I literally wasn't thinking as I was writing it. I was just writing it, just nonstop. He'd come through and he'd ask me, how many words did you do today? And I'd tell him, and he'd say, well, just keep writing. Just keep writing. And I truthfully never thought that anybody would read it. So when it I think we stopped counting at about 10,000. And it seems like everybody that bought the book, 2 or 3 people read it, because we had people coming back who had to get a second copy because they had lent it to someone who either wouldn't give it back or they couldn't remember who had it and they had to get another copy. And And then several people would tell me that they started reading it and they couldn't stop, and they were up all night and they almost fell asleep on the way to work, or they had to take a vacation day. One lady in Australia who got it off of Amazon picked up her mail on the way in to her house, and she went to the washroom and she sat there and started reading it and didn't get up for 3 hours. And when she did, her legs were sound asleep and she fell into the bathtub and had to have stitches. And I said, my gosh, we're going to have to put some kind of a warning sticker on it.
Don't read on the toilet.
Yeah, don't read. So I can't figure out why people find it so fascinating. To me, it's just a story about something I did when I was very young and very dumb or naive and survived. But I suppose that is how you get to be old and wise, is by surviving your young and dumb. And I had plenty of young and dumb to survive. Should I include you in that?
Well, anyways, like she was stabbed 17 times, and she has a Harry Potter scar right here.
Oh, right this side.
Yeah, on that side. Like, just it even looks like the Harry Potter scar from the movie where he stabbed her, and so she's like very adventuresome life. Her dad served in Italy behind enemy lines in World War II, and was in the OSS, and during World War II, and had worked with Italian partisans.
He was a good Catholic schoolboy, so he'd learned Latin, and he found that he could understand enough to get by in Italian because of his Latin.
Yeah, and he was a Morse. He was a radio operator, a Morse code operator. He was one of the fastest American Morse code dictators. He could do it so quickly, people could hardly understand it.
Well, it kept them from zeroing in.
Yeah, because the Germans would try triangulate your location, but he'd be on for such a short period of time that they could never get a fix on him. That's how he survived. And he was in France and Yugoslavia too.
There is Maria Lenzo that give us a good evening, and to you good afternoon, from Sicily Island. And
sorry, can you repeat that?
You just had a truck go by.
Sorry, you listen me now?
Yeah.
Okay. Maria Lenzo give us a good afternoon and good evening from Sicily Island.
I have no idea.
I couldn't understand what you said.
The people who listen us say goodbye and good evening to you to me.
Oh,
and
okay.
Maria is from the island of Sicily in the south of Italy.
Oh, okay. Well, goodbye. Have some limoncello for us.
Okay. And what about, Catherine, sleepwalking?
Well, I did a lot of what we would call here social justice. So I did everything from trying to help family farmers keep their farms running, to getting people with disability onto assistance. I was a very young lawyer when the AIDS crisis first hit, and the original disability rules were written for before there was a blood test, and they were written primarily with men in mind. The opportunistic infections that men would get were not the same ones that women would get. So when a woman with AIDS needed to get on assistance, it was hard to prove that she had AIDS, and so I had to fight to get women on.
She got one of the first in the Midwest.
Yeah.
I think the first one in the Midwest.
Yeah, probably was.
It was the first one in the whole of the center of the United States woman to get Social Security for AIDS.
And because there is no social medicine in the United States, in order to get medication for mental illness, you have to first get approved for disability. And so I had a nun who invited me down to help at a homeless shelter. You know, when none asks you to do something, you just do it. So that's how I started working with the mentally ill, because they would end up in the homeless shelter, and they would have to get on disability in order to get onto the insurance, in order to get their medication so that they could get out of the homeless shelter. And it just seemed like there was one after the other, after the other, after the other. And then after I became disabled, I could still do paperwork kind of things that wouldn't let me go into court anymore, because I had trouble remembering things quick enough after a head injury. But for whatever reason, I could read a trial transcript, and something that was on page 10 would relate to something that was on page 400. And for whatever reason, I could make those connections. And so I would read long trial transcripts on cases where someone had received the death penalty.
And she did get the guy that attacked her and stabbed her 17 times, was later convicted of murder. And he was put on death row. And Catherine got him clemency from death row. She wrote the governor of Oklahoma, and he got sent to a regular jail. And until COVID hit, he was very, very disturbed individual, very ill, and he was involved with bad people too. But he actually eventually he killed himself in jail during COVID. He couldn't handle it.
It was the isolation, I think.
The isolation got to him.
Got to a lot of the guys, I think.
And there was a lot of suicides in jails during COVID, and so he didn't make it. But at least
one of the things I learned about the justice system is that if you're going to have the death penalty, and I, on moral grounds, do not believe in it, but if you're going to have it, it should be based on equity, to whereas in the United States, you're much more likely to face the death penalty if you're a minority, if you are poor, if you have a mental illness, and those should not be reasons to face the death penalty.
Like how many in Florida? Florida is very important for Trump. Tell them about Florida and the death penalty for blacks.
Oh yeah, there was, until just a few years ago, there was never a white person who was executed for killing a minority in Florida over 350 years. So if you're a black person who kills a white person, you're much more likely to face the death penalty in Florida than if you are white person who kills a black person. Some of the states where, like Alabama, again until recently, the attorneys that would be given death penalty defendants to represent, their fee, which might be as low as $30 an hour, everything that they did had to come out of that fee. That would mean psychologists, forensic specialists, any other kind of medical specialist that you might need to testify. All of their fees would have to come out of that $30 an hour. So for the most part, the attorneys would not engage any kind of specialists, which can be very important to trying a case like that. And then secondly, the kinds of lawyers who would take that case in the first place were ones who were either really bad or who had had their licenses taken away at some point. So there was a lot of people doing that work that were drug addicts, alcoholics, people that had been in jail for defrauding their clients. And it's not exactly the kind of person that you need to really represent somebody in a death penalty case.
I had two friends who were put in jail, not wait a moment. Unfairly.
Yeah.
Unfairly. So I at the end of the interview, I want to tell us to make something, because I had these two friends who they was from United States and Ireland. I don't know if you know Sonny Jacobs and Peter Pringle.
No.
And they was a big example for me. But the life and for all the people, no? And when we learn that with an email that your friend it is not with them in this planet, it's ever not a trauma, but something not good, but not bad. And I want that you, Austin, and Catherine are my new example of family and friend, if you want.
What?
Because I think the partnership and you have the with male and female, and also from wife and husband, is so duraturo. Wait a moment. Lasting. If you stay in the same place to make the same things, to use the same brain. Also, if you have two brain, but I think you are only one people, one brain, and go away together.
Yeah.
We often talk about the fruits of a relationship, and we've had many, many fruits and gifts from our relationship. And we don't think about it as being two brains, but we often describe it as being two lungs.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because the thing is that, like, I'll give you an example. Like, people say, well, Austin, you're so qualified, and why are you not working? Why haven't you worked over? Like, I've had part-time jobs, but I couldn't do full-time because of the stress and the fact that anytime I worked, I would need to sleep 16 hours a day, and because of the stress. But I have applied many places that have said no, they won't hire me specifically because of the schizophrenia. One place, a social service agency that's worth about $30 million, asked me to serve on their board of directors, the senior board of directors, as a volunteer. At the same time, they didn't know this, but I was applying to be a worker in one of their group homes and part-time for 10 hours a week. I couldn't get in as basically a minimum wage laborer.
And it was during a labor shortage.
And it was during a very big labor shortage, because sometimes you get labor shortages here because of the ups and downs of the oil economy. Mm-hmm. Sometimes it's very bad, sometimes very good. It's not like constant like other parts of the world. Anyways, so there was acute shortages. They were complaining to the government in the media. They had nobody to work. They specifically told me, we can't hire you because you have schizophrenia. Yet the president of this $30 million organization, I won't say which it is because they wouldn't like it, said, can you serve on your board of directors? And it was the only time I ever said no. Because I thought, you're not willing to hire me to work with somebody that's disabled as a caregiver when we were already doing it because you're afraid of me. And yet you want me to decide how to spend $30 million? What's the problem there? And they just wanted me there as a token member because they could then say they have somebody with a mental illness on their board of directors and it would look good. So it was nothing to do with them. I also have a lot of board experience, but lots of people want me to volunteer, but never to pay me. And so that meant that I had to stay busy. I was going crazy not doing things. So I just said, I'm just going to work, even if nobody ever pays me. And I couldn't get a regular job because I became physically disabled from Antarctica, and I had the schizophrenia, so I was hit by the double whammy. And also I had gained a lot of weight. I used to be 450 pounds at my maximum from the medication, but I lost about 140 of it by just white knuckling it. So
yeah, I'm listening you.
Yeah. So, any other questions? Or
I put this photo.
That's when I was a young man in Antarctica. I have around my mustache what are called snotsicles, where the nose drips down onto your mustache and forms icicles.
Yeah, your beard was black back then. No, it looks like you now.
Yeah, it was white because there was ice all over it. It was about 35, 40 below outside. That's a photograph taken from the back of my snowmobile with the camera.
And when you think to come back Antarctica?
I came back in 86, 87. That's when I was in Antarctica. We found 700 meteorites, including a lunar meteorite. I'm the only Canadian to find a piece of the moon, with some olivine crystals. And basically, I came back wrecked, and I had problems with alcohol and drugs and stuff, and but I stopped doing that, and I just kept volunteering, and in some ways it's like I never returned from Antarctica. That's a picture of the camp, one of our tents in my snowmobile, facing the South Pole at midnight when it's still sun out. Because we only about 90 miles from the South Pole, on the south edge of the transantarctic mountain range at Beardmore Glacier, where we were on the same spot. That's the same spot that Scott ascended to the plateau. And we were at 12,000 feet altitude. Of course, the Dutch scientist, do you know what he brought with him? Was a portable windmill. That thing was so difficult, like putting it up in the middle of the snow. Of course, the Dutch guy has a windmill. You know, that's all he talked about was the stupid windmill. And we charged our batteries from it.
I want to go there one time in my life because
Well, the tourism. I do have to say there are lots of touristy kind of things. Some of them are very expensive, but some are a lot more reasonable than you think. But you do have to shop around.
Also, for Italian is so difficult. I have also make a question, but I'm not a researcher and I'm not a scientist, so it is so difficult for me to go to the Italian base there.
You could go as a reporter. They send down reporters there. They want to send reporters down there.
You know, like on the 40th anniversary of the base or something.
Yeah, on the 40th anniversary of the base, or they'll ship you down for. I mean, you won't be able. They won't let you probably winter over, but you maybe could do it. During the summer, or go down on one of the ships, because I assume the Italians don't fly in. Do they have an airstrip, or do they have just a base, just a naval base?
Yeah, I asked to Enea, I think. No, CNR.
CNR, yeah.
CNR. I asked, but it's so difficult. Catherine, one question.
Okay.
Writing the book is a liberation, or does remembering each page trigger new emotion?
I don't think it was in the way that a lot of people would have looked at it that way, because I really wasn't thinking while I was writing. Because I think if I had actually thought about it as I wrote it, it would have been much harder to write. It was almost like I had disengaged that part of my brain and was just writing on this side. People will come up and ask me questions about something that they read in, and I was like, wow, I put that in there? Oh, well. Or completely forgotten something that they'll remind me of. I'm like, oh, I'd forgotten I did that. Yeah. So I think that the release, instead of coming all at once, has come a bit in a piece with each question that somebody asked about it over the years.
And it helps that because our story is so incredulous. Like I've written books on Antarctica and going insane, and Catherine's written Curveballs, and the other book she's written Screwballs. And we would like to publish it in Italian. We'd like to have an Italian publisher for it and translate it into. And we've done 300 books, so we're always looking for Italian. We'd like to publish in Italy. And anyways, to explain our story. So instead of trying to say the same thing over and over again, that's why I did my books, because I kept having to explain, I did to Antarctica, nobody believed me. Or nobody believed I went to Moscow and had an incident with the Russians. And they don't believe it. So I did the book as a release, and I told Catherine, that she would get a lot of release, that she wouldn't have to explain to people who she was. And so I think writing a book now, especially now with the new technologies, they have the print on demand, it can be very cathartic because you have to keep it short. You have to keep it short, so it's not too long for people, not like 300 pages, but 100 pages, and then something about that's a critical point in your life, and then people can read it and think about it, and then come back to you. You can have an educated conversation, even with strangers that haven't known you for 10 years.
Mm-hmm.
All of a sudden, they become your friends. I found people that didn't know me read the book. I met them once, gave them a book. They read it. They wanted to be our friends. And they felt like they knew us. It was like we got all these friends because of it.
I put on the under the live the link to read the book. So who want to read it? It's also a paper book or only?
Yeah, you can order it paper on Amazon.
On Amazon.
It's also on Audible
It's also on Audible
and Kindle.
No, I prefer paper book. Amazon.
Yeah, I'd send you one, but it's the prices for shipping books overseas.
No, when we meet in Rome or in Canada.
Yeah.
So this photo. What about all the medal you have with you?
Oh, all the medals. Well, Catherine has some medals now. She's catching up to me. Well, okay. So the first one on the left, it goes from the left. There's the there's those are the miniature versions. The Order of Canada, which is the highest civilian award in Canada. It's like there's nothing higher except the Victoria Cross, and it's the highest civilian decoration that's usually given to the Prime Minister after he finishes, or somebody like that, and I got that. Then there's the Sovereign's Medal for Volunteers, because I volunteered for my whole life. Then there's the Gold Jubilee, Platinum Jubilee, Diamond Jubilee medals from the Queen, and those were all for community service. Then there is the Alberta Centennial Medal, and that was for disability work as well as writing on Alberta culture and history. Then there's the is there any other Canadian medals?
The Sovereigns, the Coronation.
Catherine got the Coronation Medal.
Jubilee.
The Antarctic Service Medal I got from the U.S. Congress for going to the Antarctic. It's normally said as naval, but it's really a congressional medal. And I got that from a U.S. Senator, Senate Minority Leader for the Democrats, Tom Daschle. And then I got the NASA Diversity, Equity, Inclusion DEIA medal from the Americans last year for becoming disabled in Antarctica, recovering their meteorites, because all the meteorites are owned by NASA and the U.S. government, and also for writing so many articles in space science and the work we've done with disabled people. But primarily it's because I became physically disabled on a mission. I was supposed to be elected for another one. Just wait a second.
Yeah.
That's an ambulance. An ambulance is coming by, so somebody needs help. Anyway,
the driver is.
They wanted to give me a medal that Carl Sagan was going to get, the famous American astronomer during the Cold War. but they wanted me to give me the Exceptional Science Award. But I said, well, I prefer the diversity one because it represents the fact that I also became disabled while working for NASA.
Mm-hmm.
And it also includes my recognition for my scientific work. So it's two things. And then the other one, the last one, is the Papal Order, Equestrian Order of Saint Sylvester, which is one of the papal knighthoods, which, from what I understand, is the most senior one that's given to laity and to non-royals in the Catholic knighthood honors. The honors, it comes directly from the Pope, and that was for our work with disabled children. And Oscar Schindler from Schindler's List got it. He got it at a higher level, and the Aga Khan got it, and Jimmy Carter got it, and various famous and not so famous people like us have got it. And both Catherine and I got it at the same time, and and that came directly from Pope Francis. And
Catherine has the medal to sustain Austin.
Yes.
Yes, that's what she probably. All the politicians say she gets her medals for putting up with me. That's why she gets her medals. Although the Pope gave it to her because she's a good mama for all these disabled kids.
There are Riccardo Grottini from Bologna also, and Picchio Tenaceroc from Modena, who make a good afternoon to you. And also there is Anna Ross. Maybe, I don't know if you know who is she, but the last...
The kids we took care of were all fetal alcohol. I know this might be controversial for Italy, but if pregnant women drink during pregnancy, it can damage the fetus and give them lifelong problems. Mm-hmm. And so these are people that were children of alcoholic women, and they drank during pregnancy, all of them, all 20 of them. And Catherine's been recognized other times for it. They mostly recognize her for that. But so they're very disabled and very disabled. Very bad lives.
I had custody of a nephew when I was still in college.
Mm-hmm.
This was back before people knew that pregnant women shouldn't drink. So there wasn't a name for it yet. We knew there was something wrong with him, but we didn't have a word for it. And then I just kept taking in other kids that had similar issues, and somewhere along the way, I became like an early expert in how to handle kids with fetal alcohol.
Because their life expectancy is only 34.
They have high rates of sudden infant death in infancy. They have high rates of suicide. They have high rates of
murder.
Getting into when the first two symptoms are an inability to understand consequences of your actions and no impulse control, that ends up a lot of people into a lot of trouble. And I just have a lot of patience, and I just keep reminding the kids that I love you unconditionally, even if I don't like what you're doing.
Yeah, or if you don't like them. Like sometimes we say we don't like them. Like, we love them.
We love them, but we don't really like them.
Yeah, like one of our sons is he's going off the rails. But and their successes are modest successes. Like we're dealing with all this high level stuff, but their modest is whether they stay out of jail. Like even when we met the Pope, we said one of the boys that we got recognized for the medal just got arrested in Canada 3 hours before we got a phone call in the middle of the night saying that Zach was arrested for something, and it was so sad. And when Catherine told that in Italian to the Pope, or
Spanish.
in Spanish to the Pope,
I don't speak Italian.
Yeah, she doesn't speak Italian. The Pope looked at her, and it was like a dark cloud came across his eyes, like a very dark. His face just, because he's a very jovial guy, but a dark cloud came over him, and he said, "What did he say?" He said he understood, like he was understanding by somebody that actually understood, not just intellectually understood, because it affected him, because he probably remembered, because he did have a guy that lived with him in Buenos Aires who was disabled, and maybe that kid had partial or full fetal alcohol, because he took care of him for 12 years. And I know for both of us, when it was becoming too difficult to handle the boys, it was after Pope Francis was Pope. I took solace when I read something about the Pope taking care of kids when he was a cardinal and an archbishop in Buenos Aires. I thought, well, if somebody like the Pope can tolerate this, then maybe I can, in my modest life, tolerate this.
When
it was very difficult.
When we were first married, there was a protest or something about them wanting to cut some of the supports for families that have kids with developmental disabilities.
They get a lot of supports.
Yeah, and Austin was like, schizophrenics don't get that kind of supports. They couldn't figure out why. And then once we started having all of these kids come live with us, then he understood that
it's worse.
Yeah, because
it's actually much worse than schizophrenia.
Because there's an underlying brain damage that no medication can help. The only thing that can help it is just to identify it early and get them supports early, so that they can have the best long-term outcomes.
Well, if it's possible, I want to read more of this in next interviews, when you are able to do this.
Maybe you could read Screwballs. That's Screwballs is
and
the sequel to Curveballs.
Yeah, and also when Catherine will be better, she can play this.
Yeah, I can't do that right now.
And from taking a vaccine.
And Austin play guitar.
No, I don't play. It's just Catherine that plays. I have no skill.
And now I put the last photo that it's the first you speak with Pope Francis.
Yes.
Yeah, he was very friendly.
And Austin doesn't speak Spanish, so it was the longest conversation I ever had with anybody where he didn't interrupt.
Yeah, he talked to her for 20 minutes, over 20 minutes. His Swiss guard was very upset at us because the Pope was fascinated by Catherine, because she was being very honest with him.
And my Spanish was very bad.
And her Spanish was very bad too.
Because I was trying.
My Spanish is better than English, so next live we can do in Spanish.
I don't know about that.
No, it's good in English. So if you have 5-10 minutes more.
Yeah.
Okay.
So basically, our story is one of hope, that we were both told many years ago that our life was over, and life isn't over till it's over.
Yeah.
And you shouldn't take an early exit.
And every human is equal dignity. Absolutely, every person has equal human dignity. And it doesn't matter who you are. You should be treated with respect and kindness and
the best science knows.
Yeah.
hopefully science is, a lot of people worship science, but it's a very useful tool, but you need to have ethics behind it. The problem is we've lost a lot of our.
Yeah, next time we can talk about what's happening in the United States.
Yeah. I can't travel to the United States anymore.
No, he's afraid that he get put in immigration holding or something.
Yeah, the government told me I can't travel to the States.
I don't know where is the best place in the world now at the moment. I think in Antarctica, better.
Yeah.
Penguins don't discriminate.
Yeah, penguins don't discriminate.
Well, I put a link of a project I'm doing in Sicily Island, and I share to you at the end of the interview. And I give to you 1 minute to tell us the first thing you have in the brain now, and you want to share to all the people who listen us.
Well, you can go first.
Um, you just never know where life is going to take you. Um, uh, when I was 25, I expected by this age that I would be a judge, a governor, maybe. I never expected all of the years of study would have been sidelined by a disability. But every person at some point is going to become disabled in their life, whether by age or injury. And it's how you adapt to that change of circumstances that will make the difference as to whether you have a good life or not. You don't have to be perfect in order to be happy. And I think a lot of people actually get angry that we're happy.
Yeah, I talk to, because I have the Order of Canada, which is the highest award in Canada. I get to rub shoulders with multimillionaires. I've rubbed shoulders with people that are worth $50 million, and they seek in my advice, and they usually get very mad at me because they realize I'm physically crippled, I'm mentally ill, I'm poor as a church mouse, and I'm much happier than they are, and much more satisfied and much more together, even though I have so many things against me, and they're so blessed, and yet they're so miserable. And I've had people say that they're mad at me because of it. That's the emotion they get from me, which just goes to show that, I mean, a lot of people think it's about money. You need to have enough money to survive, but do you really need to have as much money as Elon Musk? Has it done him any freaking good? Like, maybe if he got to Mars, all this stuff he's done, even lately, crazy stuff, might be worth it, but it's not about the money. It's never about the money. But
he doesn't seem particularly happy.
Oh yeah, Musk doesn't seem happy. He keeps going through girls, and he never came to terms with his mental illness, and I don't think Trump ever did either. But like,
I think Trump has fetal alcohol.
Yeah, we think Trump has fetal alcohol disorder because his mother drank heavily when she was pregnant. She was an alcoholic from Scotland.
I'll probably get on a hit list awesome by saying this on the internet.
I know. You don't distribute this in America.
I better get up.
You better stop before we tell something important.
So, project from tomorrow until next 6th month.
Okay.
Your projects.
So
Hello.
should we say goodbye?
Yes.
You listen me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
No, there are 2 or 3 questions.
Oh, there are 2 or 3 questions.
No,
Okay.
maybe you can stop now, and I make the other question in the next live. Okay.
Yeah. And
Okay.
this is our dog.
Okay. I thank you,
can see the
Austin.
dog.
All right.
Ha.
Can you
What-
see the dog?
Yes. What is his name?
Bunty.
Bunty. Well, Austin and Catherine, I thank you, and we stay in contact. I thank you also to Picchio Tenace Rock, Riccardo Grottini, Maria Lenzo, Mundo Vision from Ecuador, Anna Rossetti, Michele Zampieri, who listen us, and to all people who listen in the next days. And we stay in contact, okay?
Okay.
And I give you a big hug to you and to Catherine too.
Yes. Have a great day.
Bye.
Bye.